This time, we will introduce and explain the real meaning and foreshadowing hidden behind famous scenes from Slam Dunk that will give you goosebumps once you understand the meaning. The first is the matchup scene between Sakuragi and Maki in the match against Kainen in the Kanagawa Prefecture Finals League. This is the scene where Sendo in Ryonen tells Sakuragi to go. Let's look back at this scene. 5 to 6 minutes left in the second half. Kainen's Muto misses the shot, and Shohoku's Akagi takes the rebound and makes a long pass to Sakuragi running in front of him. It looked like a fast break would be decided, but Kainen's Maki quickly set up a defense system. As expected, he is the #1 player in Kanagawa. Against Maki, Sakuragi enthusiastically aims for a dunk, saying, "I'll surpass Kanagawa's #1." At this point, the remaining time is 5 minutes 24 seconds. The point difference is 70 to 78, with Shohoku chasing 8 points. It's exciting to watch, but if you think about it calmly, when Maki and Sakuragi are one-on-one, Sakuragi has a slim chance of winning. Considering Sakuragi's offensive ability, it is reasonable to think that there is no need to force the attack with a fast break. Akagi, who actually passed the pass, also said, "Wait," and Miyagi also said, "Stop." In such a situation, Sendo is the only one who says go. Did you know that there is actually a secret to the depiction of this scene? The secret is that each character's background reflects Sakuragi's feelings towards dunking. The person with the black background is expressing that he thinks Sakuragi's dunk is reckless and that Maki will stop him, and the person with the white background is expressing that he agrees with Sakuragi's dunk and thinks that he should attack as is. In other words, Akagi, Miyagi, Director Takato, and Haruko think Maki will win, and Anzai-sensei and Sendo think Sakuragi will win. Only Anzai-sensei and Sendo were aware of Sakuragi's potential at this point. But take a closer look. The lower right part of Haruko is white. This may mean that somewhere in her heart, Haruko believes in Sakuragi's potential. The next famous scene that will give you goosebumps when you understand the meaning is "Let's line up" when Akagi says to Sakuragi. This is the same as before, from the match scene against Kainen. With just the last minute left, they cornered Kainen to a point that seemed like they could turn it around, but Sakuragi's pass mistake at the end resulted in a disappointing loss. This is the scene where Sakuragi cries in frustration. This is a famous scene where Akagi calls out to Sakuragi, who is crying in frustration after the match, "Don't cry, let's line up." After that, Shohoku won against Ryonen in the Kanagawa Prefecture Final League and was selected to participate in the Inter-High tournament. After the game, Akagi stood stunned on the court and did not move. While the Shohoku members are watching, Sakuragi approaches one person and calls out, "Let's line up." This is also a great scene. In this scene, the position is reversed from the match with Kainen, and it is depicted in the same composition as when Akagi called out to Sakuragi, who was crying in frustration. This is really famous, so many people may have known about it. Sorry about him. By the way, the foreshadowing to this scene is from the practice match with Ryonen. The relationship between the two is passionate and touching. Next is the scene where Rukawa says to Sakuragi, "Why not shoot with your eyes closed?" This is the scene when Sakuragi throws a foul shot in a game for the first time in his life. At this time, each member will give completely different advice. Akagi says, "Just calm down and shoot." Mitsui says, "Aim at the back." Miyagi says, "The front." While everyone was saying their own things, Rukawa said, "Why not shoot with your eyes closed?" If you think about it normally, you wouldn't shoot with your eyes closed during a match. But this was a foreshadowing to a certain scene. It's a match against Toyotama. Rukawa gets injured in his left eye on a rough play by Minami, who is called the Ace Killer. Then, In the second half, he gets a foul shot and tries to throw it, but he can't get a sense of distance with one eye. But still, foul shots, I can use my body to score. My body's feelings, I believe in it. Saying that, he closes his eyes and takes a brilliant shot, scoring a point. Sakuragi was surprised by this and cried out. Maybe he remembered what Rukawa told him. Even so, Rukawa is a genius because he can give his all in this difficult situation. It can be said that this scene shows the amount of practice Rukawa has had so far, as he shows his ability not only with words, but also firmly. The next famous scene that will give you goosebumps when you understand the meaning is also from Rukawa. This is the line he said to Sawakita, "You forgot one thing." This scene is the second round of the Inter-High match against Sano. This is a matchup between Rukawa and Sawakita, where Rukawa, who had been sticking to one-on-one, started passing and creating games. In the midst of all this, Rukawa forces Sawakita into a panic and makes a stunning three-point shot. The line I said at that time was "You forgot one thing." These words were not meant for Sawakita. It dates back to the final league match against Ryonen in the Kanagawa Prefectural Tournament. Ryonen led in the first half, but in the second half, Mozumi fell to the bench with 4 fouls. And the flow of the game suddenly shifted towards Shohoku. However, when Mozumi returned to the court, he sharpened his concentration and began to play an active role, and Sendo responded by recognizing his role and scoring points all at once. Rukawa, who was defending at that time, was completely at the mercy of Sendo. At that time, Rukawa was completely taken aback and was scored by Sendo with a 3-point shot. At this time, Rukawa was so defeated by Sendo that he couldn't even fly to the block. Rukawa himself was shocked and said, "3-pointer." Rukawa's words to Sawakita, "You forgot one thing," were actually what Rukawa was saying to his past self. It was a famous scene that showed Rukawa's growth. He reflected on his past mistakes and put them to good use. The last thing I would like to introduce is Slam Dunk, which is also the title of this work. Shohoku's biggest challenge. And the last match depicted, the match against Sano. The game ended with a dramatic and emotional come-from-behind victory for Shohoku. The final shot that decided the turnaround was a jump shot by Sakuragi, the main character of this work. Why was the last shot a jump shot rather than a slam dunk, even though it is also the title? To understand that, we first need to understand what a slam dunk is in basketball. A slam dunk is a type of dunk shot, a technique in which a player jumps and carries the ball above the basket ring without being marked by the defense, and then uses one or both hands to directly shoot the ball into the goal. Slam dunks are said to be the shot with the highest success rate because they bring the ball directly to the basketball ring. Now, the game against Sano and the last shot that concludes this work, slam dunk. What I would like to note here is that Hanamichi, where I received Rukawa's pass, was unmarked. You can see this by looking at Sakuragi in the match against Sano. Let's take a look at Sakuragi's scoring scene. Did you notice? Yes, except for one jump shot, Sakuragi doesn't give the impression to the Sano members that he has a projectile. Who was Sano wary of in that last phase? The answer is Rukawa and Mitsui. Near the end of the match, the most alarming thing was Rukawa's first break. Naturally, Sano, who witnessed Rukawa's awakening through his confrontation with the genius Awakita, cannot ignore him. Also, of course, we have to be wary of Mitsui's shots from outside. This is because Mitsui is the one with the most points in Shohoku. This was probably a foreshadowing, but the story unfolded exactly as Anzai-sensei explained to Sakuragi during jump shooting training to motivate him. As Anzai-sensei said, from Sano's point of view, there is no doubt that he was more wary of Rukawa and Mitsui than Sakuragi based on the data. As a result, Sakuragi received an unmarked pass from Rukawa. Then, at the very end, Sakuragi chooses the shot with the highest probability of success. That was the jump shot one learned through 20,000 shooting practices. Shot with the highest probability of success when unmarked by anyone. In other words, you could say that the final shot was a slam dunk in a sense. What did you think? I would be happy if I could get even just one person interested in watching Japanese anime manga. I will post again. So please subscribe to the channel if you like.